First of all, I'd like to agree with what you said, Mr. Hall, around the ESB and Uisce Éireann. I'm inundated with people who can't get into houses and are waiting months. It's a disgrace. That's the first thing I'll say to you. And secondly, Deputy Boyd Barrett was talking about the cost of rent in his area. In Kildare, it's approximately an average rent of $14.50 per month, and I'm in South Kildare constituency, which is very different to the North Kildare constituency because it's on the North Kildare's on the commuter belt, so there's more employment and there's more benefits to that. Whereas in South Kildare, we still have quite a high amount of unemployment, in particular in certain towns like Athy and all of them areas, and they're not very well off, and poverty is an issue. So renting and getting houses is quite an issue there. Also, there are 7,000 people on a waiting list in Kildare County Council local authorities. So houses are not being built in order to fix that, and that's a huge problem that we need to address. And I suppose in light of all that, I really want to ask you, the recent events regarding bulk purchases of family homes for rental at huge rates by vulture funds and institutional landlords, and why do these huge institutional landlords pay no tax on the rental property, as ordinary landlords can be subject to a rate of 52% tax on theirs? How does this disparity of treatment incentivise ordinary landlords to remain in the market, and what measures would you be envisaged to address this disparity, please?
Which one of these, Jordan? Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know why, like, we don't represent REITs.
Yes,
and
I know.
I do think what is clear is that it was unfair, but I mean, I don't know why it hasn't been actually pulled back a little bit. I understand at the time, back in the crash, they wanted as much money come in and plug a hole, and they basically threw these massive incentives to get as much cash in order to create some sort of a catalyst. But, you know, the estate agents, our members, got no benefit from that. Obviously, the country got back on a good path. Whether that was part of the catalyst or not is debatable. Certainly at this point, it seems to be unfair in terms of the tax incentives that they get, or the benefits that they get at this point. I don't know why it hasn't been clawed back at this stage.
Okay.
I think I would have a slightly stronger view in that. You know, the red carpet was shown to vultures. Their bellies were tickled. They're brought in. Like, what other jurisdiction in the world allows a vulture fund legally set up a charity, give them automatic charitable status? Where any other charities around the length and breadth of the country being tortured by bureaucracy and waffle from the regulator. Yet we opened the door, we put out the red carpet, and we tickled their belly. At one stage, the Department of Finance met vulture funds on 65 occasions, versus meeting debtor organisations on 3 occasions. So I think, and it was obscene. I think capital had to be brought in. An element of control has been lacking. And I think if you were to compare this amount of money, because this is money that is being presented as an expenditure to the state, how much money has been lost and left in the back pockets of vultures? So by comparison, it's a completely unequal comparable, and one that drives me bananas. And very frustrating to see, and respectfully to some of your colleagues who are here and not here, saying this is a lot of money to be putting in the pockets of landlords. Sorry, you left billions in the pocket of vultures. Go address that.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I mean, I'm dealing with people who have homes owned by vulture funds currently, who are worried that when they become 65 and they are no longer able to work, how are they going to keep the roof over their head? I pay $1,500 to $1,700 a month for that. And that's becoming a huge problem in my constituency with people that come through my door. Also then, I just want to finish on this, Chair. With regard to mortgage interest relief, particularly those standard variable loans already sold to vulture funds, passing an increased cost risk to the relief scheme, have any of our guests, I suppose, here today, have any further engagement with the Minister, Micheál McGrath, on pathways for mortgages to return to high street banking entities from non-banking vulture funds to protect the mortgage holders for the price gouging?
I think I need a few blood pressure tablets, Deputy, after this. Yeah, look, I think, you know, we were told, we were assured, I was before the Finance Committee previously and said the same thing. We were assured at the time that vulture funds would protect consumers in the same way as banks and mainstream banks would. The central bank has been fast asleep for many years when it comes to consumer protection. It has a dual regulatory function in relation to funds and in relation to banks, completely inappropriate, unsafe, and not in the consumer's best interest. To have a vulture fund, and I only met them on Monday, Pepper, where they, have a structure that allows them to charge 9%. The mainstream banks, believe it or not, have actually held back quite well because they've gouged us in relation to the deposits. So they've held back on those and they've made great monies and made great profits, and they're terrified of touching them because the profits for last year would be absolutely rocket fuel. So I think the customer and the consumer, and Deputy, we owe so much money, we borrow so much money, we transact so much money, and if you're a hedgehog, you have more rights. There's an association to protect you, the hedgehog walking across the road. And I think, it's so frustrating to see us being told by politicians, Department of Finance, the central bank, who then fed into the media, don't worry, if you're moving to a vulture fund, you'll be protected, your consumer protections follow. Utter lies. And I think everyone needs to be very, very clear and careful of that, because in one of my submissions today, we say the central bank rules for capital rules for those who get into mortgage arrears, if this happens again, which is inevitably going to happen again, because all of the lenders are preparing for another mortgage arrears crisis, as is the central bank, and they told us that face to face in December with the governor, that if they do that, the central bank is the one who put pressure. Let's be absolutely clear. It's a stupid rule the central bank introduced that required banks to hold capital on par with those in arrears, that forced them to sell to vultures. And that is a organisation that's held to account to this House.
So I have no solution for those that are in vulture funds currently anyway.
No, I think Pepper will reduce it. If people are under pressure, will reduce it, and Mars Capital will also. They're the two that have been most engaging in relation to the interest rates, and we'll look at fixing them and reducing them by 2% for those that are eligible. Hopefully the rot has stopped, the rate rises have stopped. We'll hopefully see a decrease. Not great excitement about that at the moment, but I'd say the most important thing with anybody in difficulty, the most engaged, there's BABS, there's the Insolvency Service, and there's ourselves for the Irish Mortgage Holders Organisation, and we've received referrals from all of your colleagues all the time. They don't and shouldn't do it on their own.
Okay, thank you all very much. Thank you, Chair.